People like myself have tried numerous times to educate consumers about the ethical aspects of this issue, as well as the economic aspects. If our artists cannot make a living off of art's creation, then they are forced to do it less. And artists are our culture bearers. Our artists are the ones that carry our unique and critically important cultural practices from the past and into the future. They are critical. They are important. We need them. We need to support them. We live in a digital world. We live in a global world, and a significant percentage of sales transactions now occur online. The Indian Arts and Crafts Act, as it exists right now, needs to be updated to include Native inspired, to better protect our artists and Native artists, customers, consumers, patrons, clients, and supporters. Hello everyone, my name is Jessica Metcalfe. I am Turtle Mountain Chippewa from North Dakota, and I am the owner of Beyond Buckskin, which is a website dedicated to promoting and discussing Native American made art and fashion. So please take a moment to subscribe to Beyond Buckskin, and please subscribe to Indigenous House. We have so much more that we want to share with you. So thank you. Now, this particular episode takes a closer look at Etsy. Just search Native American on Etsy and you will find thousands and thousands of product results. Now, unless these items are made by Native American people, it is illegal to label or name your products as Native American. This is a violation of the Indian Arts and Crafts Act. So why is this important? It's important because every single day, non-Native online shop owners upload and falsely label their products as Native American, and they do it in order to get more sales. That's the reason for it. This is a marketplace. You wouldn't be putting it up there unless you were trying to make money. I really want to just buy some Native earrings. Like, why is it hard to find beaded earrings by a Native artist on Etsy? It should be easy, but it was so difficult. I would get so much crap. One thing that kept coming up were Indian headdresses. Native American headdresses should not be on Etsy, but they are. And you can find a lot of them, a couple hundred options to pick from. In fact, and this has been a consistent problem for over a decade. And so many of us have already explained over and over again why, wearing a hipster headdress is not okay, that we just felt so repetitive. We're constantly stuck at Indian 101. And the good thing is that I'll never not have a job. So that's exciting for me. But yes, we talked at length about, festivals and hipsters wearing headdresses, and it just kept coming up. But then I was kind of wondering, where are these people getting these headdresses? Clearly somebody's making them and selling them. And it turns out that one of the places where you can buy yourself a nifty little Indian headdress is on Etsy. The other thing I want to note is that it is super fascinating to see who the makers are and how they market these headdresses to potential buyers. And the customers can now post pictures of themselves, happy with my purchase, and how they present themselves wearing headdresses is also extremely fascinating. People got mad at me for naming names with my Etsy critique. So instead, I didn't name names. I just straight up linked everything straight to the people who were selling this stuff, which evidently pissed people off even more. We've got headdresses for the chiefs in London. Yeah, they're selling them in London. There's the rainbow chief headdress. There's the little Indian headdress to teach your kids how to play Indian. There's the Native American Indian hooded towel for our post-shower chiefs. And you could also get a custom Indian chief headdress for those of us on a budget. It was really, really cheap. Who do you think should be able to make and sell Native American headdresses? That was the question that I posed to my audience on my blog. But I gave them a warning with Etsy. So the warning is that after my first Etsy critique, I was told that instead of discussing the appropriation of Native cultures found on Etsy on my blog publicly, I should have instead contacted the shop owners in question directly. But I was then informed that if I directly contact an artist, I would be reported to Etsy, which I did, go on a little mission where I was sending out like, hey, just, there's the Indian Arts and Crafts Act. Hey, so I was privately messaging individuals like, hey, just want you to be aware that you're violating this law. Because maybe they just don't know, right? But then I got reported to Etsy. And I kind of got like a slap on the wrist, right, from Etsy. They said, hey, you can't be private messaging all these individuals because it got flagged as either like spam or harassment. And that if I don't stop, that I would have my account either suspended or restricted. On the one hand, it was like, don't, publicly out these people. On the other hand, it was like, don't privately message them because you'll lose all of your Etsy rights. So, I let people know that this was your catch-22. Are you willing to sacrifice your access to Etsy for this? But now we have to get to the last straw. Does Etsy condone trademark violation? That question was the last straw for me. This was in 2011 and 12, and at that time, the Navajo Nation was suing. They're in the process of suing Urban Outfitters over product names. I completely, support and supported the Navajo Nation on this one. There's no gray zone. There's nothing. It is straight up trademark violation. And that's a large company, right? But there was hope still for Etsy in being a marketplace full of other artists. When this lawsuit came about with the Navajo Nation, I remembered that there were a high number of Navajo products being sold on Etsy. So I went back onto Etsy to double check. Like right off the bat, front page was a list that featured a Navajo purse, and the purse wasn't made by a Navajo artist. So I wrote a little letter to Etsy. Etsy had a whole department called Marketplace Integrity. So I sent it to them. And I said, you recently featured this item, but it is in trademark violation of the name Navajo. Then I said, you should not condone illegal sales activities on your site, and you should not promote items that violate trademark laws and or the Federal Indian Arts and Crafts Act. Sincerely, Dr. Jessica Metcalfe. It is 3 sentences. Number 1, you recently featured this item. Number 2, it is in trademark violation. Number 3, you should not condone illegal sales activities. That's it. The next day, I got a response. That was awesome. Here's the response. Oh, it's so bad. All right, I'm going to be Katie from Etsy's Marketplace. Okay. Hello, this is Katie from Etsy's Marketplace Integrity Team. As you may know, Etsy is a venue that connects shoppers to sellers. Each shop is run independently by the shop owner, and the shop owner is responsible for their content and use of our services. By agreeing to our terms of use, all members assure us that they will follow all applicable laws while using our site. Etsy cannot judge the legality of items or the seller's ability to legally sell an item. If Etsy receives notice from the authorities that a member's content or activity on our site does not comply with the law, then we will remove it and or take measures to comply with the law. Beyond legal issues, it is up to each member to make important ethical and moral decisions about what they choose to buy and sell on Etsy. Best, Katie. Etsy Marketplace Integrity. I gotta read this again because it's so good. So get Katie from Etsy's Marketing Integrity team. So Etsy is a venue that connects shoppers to sellers. By agreeing to our terms of use, all members assure that they will follow all applicable laws. Etsy cannot judge the legality of items or the seller's ability to legally sell an item. So that's completely false, because at that time in 2012, Etsy had a very strict, defined understanding of there would be no sales of alcohol, tobacco, firearms. Knives were a little gray zoney. I remember that. You know, they had a whole outline of policy do's and don'ts. They were also not allowing anything remotely that would be pornographic. They wouldn't even go anywhere near any of those things. So when Katie said that Etsy cannot judge the legality of items, false. Straight up false. Her second paragraph, if Etsy receives notice from the authorities about content or activity, they'll remove it. Yes, I know that. Yes. The last thing that she said really pissed me off. Beyond legal issues, it is up to each member to make important ethical and moral decisions about what they choose to buy and sell on Etsy. And the fact that she threw in ethical and moral decisions, I didn't bring up anything ethical or moral. I brought up trademark violation and the Indian Arts and Crafts Act. There's nothing about ethical and moral shit there. Those are both laws. It's clear that Katie's coming in with a bias. And that, to me, was the last straw. This is it. This is the brutal reality. I gave up on Etsy. But artists were still messaging me like, hey, you know, I'm on Etsy and other people are stealing my work. And there was one, her name is Mary. She sent me a message. A business that was not on Etsy went to Etsy, found what she was selling, just straight took the picture from her Etsy page, flipped it, and put it on their website and started selling it. I'm like, what the hell? So people are going onto Etsy to rip off artists. Like, the artists just did not feel safe being on there. And how are they going to compete with this monster out there that is just stealing and consuming and taking all of their creativity and work? I was like, this is fucking bullshit. The only thing you could do at this point is come up with a better solution. That's when I really kicked in gear with the Buy Native list. So it was all about buying from Native-owned businesses, Native creative entrepreneurs, Native American artists, all online. And then shortly after, I'm talking like the idea for the Beyond Buckskin boutique was in March, and I launched the boutique May 7th. What is that, 6 weeks? It really is about trying to come up with a solution. Like, we see the problems and it's so much fun to, critique shit. It's fun. I like it. But the hard part is coming up with a solution, coming up with an alternative. That problem solving, that coming up with a solution has to continue to change. So the solution that I came up with in 2012 isn't necessarily what is going to work right now. It has to constantly adapt. It has to constantly evolve in order to be relevant to what the artist's needs are and what the customers or consumers or clients, what their needs are. Where do these individuals come together, and how can we come up with creative ways to bring people together so that we can support one another and we can enrich each other's lives through that process? I know it can happen. In 2012, I gave up on Etsy, but occasionally I go back onto Etsy because I have my own list of my favorites. Like, I'll go on there to highlight, native shop owners, different, people who I know, and then they're always updating their sites or they're taking time out. So I have to go into my Etsy account and update what are the favorite shops, because I want people to just be able to click on a link. These ones are native owned shops on Etsy. Here's this group, really cool stuff. All right, sweet. It's easy to be able to find amazing earrings without having to sift through the shit. And I do that because I love you guys. I want to make it easy for you guys to support Native artists. And there's a whole bunch of reasons why it is absolutely critical that we support Native American artists. And the thing about humans is that humans are predictable. So I already know that I'm going to get shit for this, because people are going to say, we've got bigger problems, we've got bigger fish to fry, we got more important things to do than to worry about whether Native American artists are being ripped off on Etsy. And I'll agree with you. Like, sure, yeah, we got big fucking problems. You go do that. I'm going to take care of this little ass problem, okay? Because I have already heard all this. I already know what people are going to say. I already know that people try to diminish the work of others, and that's okay, because I got the fucking facts. And the facts are that our artists, Native American, Indigenous artists, are incredibly vital to our communities. They are incredibly important to continuing our cultural traditions. They're the ones that are going to solve so many problems. Like, why can't we just support them? So occasionally I'll hop back onto Etsy just to see what the situation's like, and it's the same. So in 2016 was like, let me remind you guys, this is why I don't like Etsy, all right? And I just go after it. People are stealing our culture for profit. And then in 2018, Etsy, really solidifies their statement on the Indian Arts and Crafts Act. Talk about working at a pace of a snail. I created the Buy Native list to promote Native-owned businesses and artists who had online shops. Each year, customers spend over $1 trillion on e-commerce sites. They also put up like the, estimated quarterly US retail e-commerce sales. Just the United States, just retail, and just e-commerce sales. It's massive. It tripled in a decade. And the pandemic really kind of like kind of made things funky, but it was on track to triple in a decade. And you can see the spikes that happen during the holiday spending, right? The cyber holiday spending season, those quarters, you can see the spikes in sales. This is a huge market, and Native, Indigenous, First Nations artists and small businesses need to be a part of this, okay? And they should not be drowned out by people who don't know about trademark law or the Indian Arts and Crafts Act. We are already battling enough, as people kindly tell me, that this should not be an additional thing that we have to remind people about. So by launching an online business, Native people are able to access markets that reach beyond the confines of what their community may be, right? So it could be beyond the confines of reservations or geographical borders, and reach people from wherever, like in the middle of nowhere, North Dakota, like, hello. But there's so many items out there that are falsely labeled as Native or Indigenous. You can't do that, okay? Just knock it off. For example, if they're selling an Apache poncho, no. A Navajo purse, no. Native American earrings, no. So you can, if you've got some free time, just report them to the Indian Arts and Crafts Board. We've got the link below. But some tribes, like the Navajo Nation, has trademarked their name. So any unauthorized use of the word Navajo is in violation of trademark law. That's it, period. So what I've come up with online is what I call the Buy Native list. And it's hard to keep up with this list because these are all online businesses. They're all small businesses. They're Native run, artist run. And so it is updating constantly. There are new ones that are coming out. There are ones that just don't make it past 5 years, which is a normal thing with businesses. They rarely make it to the 5-year mark. That's just in general. So I come up with this list, and this list is not the end all be all. This is meant to be a jumping off point for you or me or whoever to have some place to just click through. So something easy, even if you just want to window shop. This is just to get you started on your journey. I know that there are a lot of businesses or Native artists that I haven't been able to add yet. And it is strictly because I put this list together in my free, non-existent time. I don't get paid for this. I have this passion to make it easy for people to support Indigenous brands. That's it. What I've noticed is that people will come up with their own lists, and that's awesome, especially if they are doing it for an online article. They're like, hey, here's 5 jewelry artists to check out now. That's amazing. We need more of that. We need that to be constant. It cannot be just during Native American Heritage Month, but it definitely should always be a part of Native American Heritage Month. It can't just be part of the holidays. It has to be all the time. So in the dead of winter, in January, in February, when the artists are like, okay, I'm really making a lot of stuff right now because there's nothing else to do, then that is when we need to be also promoting them and supporting them. And with this economy the way it is right now, we got to get a jump on this, you guys, because we got to come up with some more solutions. We need a bunch of different kinds of solutions. Yes, I've got the Buy Native list. Yes, the boutique, but it needs to go beyond that. There needs to be multiple revenue streams for artists. There's got to be multiple ways to get the word out. There's got to be just multiple ways to reach more people. So what I ask is that we all just join in creating a network of people who support Native American creativity, history, and legacy, as well as much needed economic development here. When we talk about buying American made or, buying local. I think that the Indigenous, the Native American, needs to be in that story every time. Like every time somebody says, oh, let's support local, there needs to be at least one Indigenous business in the list that they're sharing. And I don't think that that's a hard request to ask.